A crazy start to the NBA Finals, and we've had 24 hours to sit on it and go, what just happened? How did that happen? Will the Thunder be better in Game 2? Will the Pacers be better? We'll cross it over and discuss it all today on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Thunder.
You are Locked On NBA Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy weekend. Hope you're enjoying the NBA Finals so far. Tony East here. I host Locked On Pacers. Rylan Stiles is here from Locked On Thunder as well. The first of many mid-series crossovers we will be doing. We've had time to digest it. People have talked about it. People have thought about it. It's 1-0 Pacers and an insane start to the NBA Finals. Rylan and I watched the game from very far away, approximately 30 inches, 36 inches, maybe not even that, as we watched the Thunder build a 15-point lead and the Pacers tear it all down. Rylan, have your thoughts on the game changed at all? Has your perception changed, or is it a Thunder game they should have had still to you?
Yeah, I think that ultimately sitting with this game, rewatching this game, it did feel like a little column A, a little column B. You have to give a ton of credit to Indiana. They were the team that executed in the fourth quarter. And during our series crossover, during the series preview, I was very much talking about the bold predictions being that the point differential in this series would be tight. And so whoever executes in the fourth quarter is going to win the majority of these games this series, and Indiana did that. So they deserve all the credit in the world for what they were able to do. And also, they deserve all the credit in the world for what they did in the fourth quarter turnover-wise. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, especially against the Thunder defense, but just in basketball in general. Once you start turning the ball over, it compounds on itself, and you just can't stop. It's just something that gets away from you. And Indiana was able to reel back in those turnovers and not have one for the last 9 minutes of this game, and it helped them win. And the Thunder had to be kicking themselves for the fact that no one thought that Indiana would turn the ball over 20 times in a game this series. They did that, and the Thunder could not capitalize. They could not score off of Indiana turnovers, and that was the big reason why you couldn't pull away, on top of not getting enough from J-Dub and Chet. If J-Dub and Chet play this way, the Thunder are not going to win this series, no matter how much that they're favored by.
Yeah, remarkable Chet quietness. Myles Turner is not no one's a tough matchup for someone like Chet, but you get what I'm saying, and that it's not like as favorable as it can be for other guys. I want to start with the Thunder because they were the better team on the scoreboard for 47.95 minutes of the action. And I actually want to look at the not good part of their game. What did they change anything to you in the last 9 minutes in terms of their approach to the way they were playing? Or did you feel like, because I kind of feel like it's the latter, but I'm curious on your take. I just feel like the Pacers upped their execution. Their defense was better. They were comfortable going small, and they didn't turn it over, and they made a bunch of crazy shots. That Myles Turner banked in three will live in my brain forever, but they deserved it. They played very well. Did the Thunder actually do anything to get in their own way? I mean, Shea came in with 7.5 minutes to go. It felt like they had the right guys on the floor to me, but they just couldn't score enough.
Yeah, I thought that at the very, very end, whenever they decided to go small and decided to not have a single big on the floor, that was something that they messed up internally, that they were in control of. The whole reason why you went and got Isaiah Hartenstein was for this exact moment of, like, you watch that Dallas series and you're like, okay, Chet's a really good starting center in this format, but you didn't have anyone behind him, and you love having all these perimeter guys around Chet. It should have been this series where you see Chet start the game, Isaiah Hartenstein in the game when Chet's not, and there's never a minute where one of them is not on the floor, and that's the benefit that you get from bringing Hartenstein off the bench. But instead, they tried to close small. I thought that was their one big miscue. I thought that we watching it, I would say that 90%. You're exactly right, Tony, because that's exactly what I felt like whenever we were heading down from our perch to go to the locker rooms and go talk to the players. And then I talked to Isaiah Hartenstein in the locker room, and he kept mentioning that the Thunder slowed their pace. And so then I rewatched it today with the kind of shaded colored glasses. So I don't want to have too much confirmation bias, but I do think that the offense did stall, partly because they couldn't make their shots, but partly because they were initiating some of their actions a bit too late, too early in the game clock. That was not the time to try to kind of run the ball for a football crossover analogy here. It was the time to keep pushing and keep trying to create advantages. And when they did create those advantages, it never happened. And you don't want to slow your own pace down against Indiana and miss your shots. So I know that whenever Hartenstein had that quote, it kind of went through Pacer circles of like, well, isn't controlling the pace exactly what you want to do against Indiana? Well, no, if you slow down your own pace offensively, then you miss the shot, then the Pacers dominate you on their glass. That makes them get to play their exact pace that they want to play. You're not actually slowing down how the Pacers play. You're slowing down how you play. And I think that's what the Thunder kind of ran into. But 90% of that fourth quarter it's a make or miss league. I mean, Shea misses his bread and butter shot that led to Haliburton having his special moment. If Shea hits that shot and he has 40 points in the game, the Thunder are up 3, they play the foul game and win that game. It's Shea's moment today instead of Tyrese Haliburton's moment. And so it's a make or miss league. And then it kind of happened that way. If J-Dub hits that 3 that Shea creates for him, where he's wide open, has a beautiful pass fake that while the play was happening, we were sitting right next to each other and you go, great pass fake. He got a wide open shot. And he missed. He did everything right, except that the ball didn't go in. So I think that's why you can say that, Tony, you're exactly right. It was just the Thunder didn't execute and the Pacers did. And what the Pacers did to execute, that's what great teams do. That's what title teams do.
I ironically saw the Pacers do what the Thunder did when they lost to the Knicks in game 3 last round. They went up 20 in the first half and they were winning for most of the game. And then it was tied with 97 seconds to go and the Knicks won. And TJ McConnell kind of said yesterday that, like, you don't try to play different when you build a big lead, but just like human nature just kind of creeps in just a little bit, right? Like, okay, we got it. Let's maybe not like intentionally slow down, but if everybody kind of has that kind of like shoulder relaxing feeling, all it takes is one guy playing slower and the whole team is playing slower all of a sudden, right? And I think you saw that from the Thunder of they could not speed up collectively. And so that ended with a lot of possessions of like Shea going at Nembhard or J-Dub going at Nesmith or whatever. And don't get me wrong, like that's not a horrible end of a possession. Like those are all-star players, but that's also the Pacers' 2 best defenders. And outside of, a few shots here or there, like the one you just admitted to everybody that I oohed and ahed about from 5,000 feet away. I didn't feel like they had any shots that were like so exceptional, but it's obviously ones that those star players can make. And the Pacers did a good job all night of rebounding and then especially pushing after those misses. And they made a bunch of shots. And I think, too, you mentioned the sub. Not only is Hartenstein not on the floor, that's thing one. Thing two is Rick Carlisle's like, sick. I could put Obi in. We can go small, too, and have a small ball lineup we like on the floor. Toppin's hit 5 threes in the game. He's causing problems just by being someone of that size and speed. So that kind of played into the Pacers' hands, too. So obviously the Pacers have a lot to do better. They were down 15 with 9.5 minutes to go in the game. But for the end portion, they showed how they hope this series can look, which is they can play fast and maybe not force, but play in a way that has the Thunder play slow and escape a game like that. Both teams probably feel like they played bad. So I think the Pacers feel at least better that they won the game.
Yeah, you'd much rather escape with a win in a game that both teams should feel like they could dominate. I mean, like the Pacers are thinking to themselves, we never turn the ball over, much less do we turn the ball over 24 times, and we still won. God. It's like to still win that game. If you're the Pacers right now, you're saying to yourself, well, we know we're not going to turn the ball over that much. And so even if we turn it over 14 times, that still does not help OKC because they got 24 of them and only had like 12 fast break points. They didn't score off of them anyway. So like if you're Indiana, you feel great about where you're at. And if you're Oklahoma City, you feel like you let one go and you feel like that it was again, what Hartenstein said, you feel like you beat yourself more than Indiana beats you. So that's the mentality of these two teams. And the truth is often in the middle. And that's why we both thought this was going to be a fun, competitive series because these are two great teams.
I agree with that. And yes, I agree with the middle part. The turnover part of this was just crazy. Like I talked to TJ McConnell about this, and I know you and I already talked about it before the series, but it just blows my mind that the Pacers know going in, we can't turn it over. They want us to turn it over. We can't turn it over. And then they have 18 in the first half. It's like, it's not like they're stupid. Like they know the Thunder are going to pressure them. The second you turn, the second you pick up your dribble, the second, even if you are dribbling, if you just stop in place, here they come. Like you can't do it. And they did it. And one, I don't know how to balance the like credit blame scale of like, okay, you turned it over, but good job. You got back and stopped them from scoring in transition immediately. But two, they had, I think 12 turnovers that were not a steal. Like throw it into the backcourt, like offensive foul, just like the infuriating ones for the team and coaching staff to just live with. It'll be interesting to see where the speaking of recovery, the scale ends up going in game 2 of, okay, the Pacers clean that up, but then the Thunder also like make shots and don't turn into pumpkins in the final minutes, like where that ends up. And The other thing I wonder is how much lineup changes there is. The Thunder started a different group. They never went double big. So there's a lot of evolution that can still come in the series too, which is, I think, completely fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that if you're Indiana, I know that the turnovers were jarring. I don't think that translates to any other game in this series. Like, I think that, like you mentioned, a lot of the turnovers were not unforced. They were caught off guard, Indiana was. Like, you can think of the Tyrese Haliburton where he steps back on Chet and then realizes how long Chet is and then fires in an entry pass to Myles Turner and SGA pokes it free for a steal. It's like the pass where the Pacers think that they have Cason Wallace switched on to Myles Turner on the low block, and then Wallace zoops out in front of him, fronts Myles Turner, switches on the ball handler. Yeah, he did a little zooping, and Chet recovers onto Turner, and they get the steal that way. It's like the Thunder's ability to switch and the Thunder's ability to make you think one way in terms of mismatches, kind of like disguising a football defense, make you think one thing is happening, then change it on you. The Pacers got caught in the air a lot in that first half where they are literally throwing the ball from one end of the court to the other. And it's not a steal. It's not even deflections. It's just the Pacers get caught in the air and don't know what to do. And that's why I think that the fourth quarter happened where they were able to stop those turnovers, because then they had seen the pictures. They had seen, okay, yes, like this is how the coverages look, but we can't take this pass. We can take that one. And they were able to settle back in. And then it was all reliant on the Thunder's ability to generate steals, which is still great. And they still got three turnovers from Indiana in that fourth quarter, but it's not as ginormous as like the 24 turnovers that it ends up being in the sum.
Obi Toppin with so many, what are you doing passes? TJ McConnell, they like usually darty passer, threw one for a touchdown to J-Dub. That was the one that put him up 15. I think that was the first one I said to you, like, okay, this might be over. This is not looking good. And I was wrong. The Pacers were significantly better from that point on. I have a lot more I want to get to. The Thunder starting fives, double bigs, the Pacers' best stuff. Can they do it for more than like 9.5 minutes next time? Coming up here on a crossover, Locked On Pacers and Locked On Thunder. Before we talk about any of that, let's talk about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in the finals, and the finals are in full swing every night, delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Boy, is that accurate for Game 1. Whether it's a game-winning shot, holy smokes, or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Who's going to show up in the big moments? How could tracking their trends help you build your next big bet? What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on the action's unfolding? Well, if you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with the same game parlay? And a $200 bonus bet addition could help add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits. If you're new to FanDuel, perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets to make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Thunder, Lord knows what's going on outside my hotel. Hopefully, Rylan, you cannot hear this. That is quite loud. You made a face. I hope that is no, you can't hear it, and it's just crazy nonsense. The lovely, vibrant Oklahoma City, which turns blue at night. It's awesome. Having a great time here. The Thunder will hope to have a better time in Game 2. You can find us here every single day, wherever you get your podcasts on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Thunder. Rylan and I will link up, I think, after every game if we can. If there's a one-day gap in between, it might be a little harder, but we'll make it work. Rylan, I got lucky and predicted that Isaiah Hartenstein might not start. I did not predict for Cason Wallace, but I did think that was possible. Do you think the Thunder will do that again? Could they make it Caruso? Would they go back to Hartenstein? What did you think of that and how it impacted the game?
Yeah, based upon throughout the 48-minute game of Mark, his identity as a coach is to treat game ones as feel-out games and to get data and sample size on players, on lineups, and understanding that it's just one of the games that you need. Not that it's a throwaway game, but just the understanding of it's a long series. And in that game, he still didn't at any point go to the double big lineups. It seems like he doesn't want to go to it.
I couldn't believe it.
He played AJ Mitchell and he didn't go to the double big lineups. And I don't begrudge him for playing AJ Mitchell. You can go back and listen to yesterday's Locked On Thunder to discuss like his rotations. But the fact that they never creeped in, that double big lineups never creeped in to his rotations in a game that he willingly admits for all 4 rounds now is a feel out game, I think was telling that he doesn't necessarily want to play double bigs against Indiana. Their 5-out style of offense makes it hard to do, because then who are you sticking everybody on? I don't think that Chet nor Hartenstein are great matchups for Siakam. I think that J-Dub and Caruso are two better matchups for Siakam. But if you're going to still put J-Dub on Siakam with those two bigs on the floor, who are they going to guard? Like, what are they going to do? Where are they going to even stand on the court? So I do think that he will keep the starting lineup different and like not have double bigs, because there's also a mental side of things of like, if you do go back double bigs in game 2, not that he cares about this, but if you do go back to double bigs in game 2, it gives a little bit more credence to the people who thought that they were panicking. I don't think that he was panicking. I think that he made a very sound decision in going single bigs.
If I predicted it was possible, it made sense, right? There was a reason to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. And like, that's the thing, right? Like a lot of people, and I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone in particular, but a lot of people don't cover these teams as intimately as we do, obviously. And so they're just flying in and they just see one thing changed and they don't understand the nuance of how each team plays and the chess match of it all. So I think that was a great decision to not start double big. I would not start double big tomorrow on game 2. So I do think they'll stay away from it. The thing about Caruso, I agree with you. Their best lineup would be to start, Shea, Dort, Dub, Caruso, and Chet. I think that that's their best lineup for the 48-minute game. There is something about having Caruso inject himself into a game off the bench, because he is a guy who just provides, no matter what, he provides energy. Whether you have it or not, he's either going to rise the energy level of an already hyperactive Thunder team, or he's going to rise the energy level of a sluggish Thunder team and kind of bring everybody up like the tide that raises all boats, or whatever the saying is. And then he also has a unique ability to be a play finisher offensively and a menace defensively. So if you're sluggish on offense, he can help you finish plays. And if you're not having your best stuff defensively, well, he's Alex Caruso. You know what he is as a defender. So there is something about that to let him feel the game out off the bench as a guy who is so cerebral, of understanding the moment, of understanding what the team would need. So I do think that the starting lineup was not the problem. I mean, it helped them gain control of this game. I thought that the problem was, the one thing I would change if I was Mark is you have to have a big on the floor at all times. And I would also, as he's done, change Shea's rotation and bring him back in earlier in the fourth. But the main thing, there's got to be a big.
Mention that too.
Yeah, at all times.
Yeah, I was very surprised they went Somali, and I said to Rylan, I don't remember how much time was left, like 8 minutes, maybe a little more than that. I said, is Shea usually out this long? And it didn't, he played 40 minutes, right? It's not like this was such a long rest, but in the moment, right when the Pacers were starting to creep back in, I was like, maybe that guy should be on the floor. Look, if they play double big, like, it works. They've shown that, but you can't play through Hartenstein against the Pacers like the Knicks did last year, because it minimizes a lot of the other stuff that makes the Thunder offense effective, right? So then someone is being completely neutralized or not used to their strengths, and it makes more sense to get a defender, a better offensive player on the floor, at least I think. So I agree with you. I bet they don't go back to starting Hartenstein or playing double big that much, but I wonder if how they'll tweak, if anything, the rotation going forward. Casey Wallace was not he's had a good playoffs, not a great game one for him. I do wonder how much the Pacers can extend, not like for a full 48-minute game, but like what they did for the last 9.5 minutes. How applicable can that be to more time? Because they were behind 8-15 for like a 3/4 stretch, basically, after they tied it at 10. They did figure out something with the turnovers. Tyrese Haliburton just talked about settling in, right? Every quarter margin got better and better for them throughout the game. For millions of reasons, they got more comfortable as a team. They figured out lineups that made sense. Myles Turner was butter hands early. Like, I do think some of just natural progression will come, but like they were blazing hot from 3. Like, can that continue? They got great looks. Like, that's part, you talked about this before the series. It's part of what the Thunder give up. If they can keep making them, great, but that was pretty rosy. Like, can they keep looking that good for longer? I think will be very revealing in game 2. And sometimes it's not that simple. Like, teams change their strategies. I guarantee a lot more zones coming in game 2. Like, it's a lock from both teams. How much does that cook things up? Because the Pacers, like, it's always so tempting when you win to be like, oh, we don't have to change a lot. Like, they have to change a lot. They were the worst team for 40 minutes of action. And so I'll be curious how much of that 8-minute stretch they can draw from and apply to the rest of the game, because some of it came with Toppin on the floor instead of Turner. Like, they're not going to go to that a ton, although Dagnall gave them chances to do it. It has worked throughout the playoffs. But Turner's a good Chet matchup. Like, you kind of want to overlap those guys as much as you can. Haliburton needs to be on the floor, not because he's like so killing against the Thunder. He had 14 points, but because a good defender has to guard him, and that means someone else has chances to kind of probe and ball handler. Shout out to Andrew Nemhard for an insane shot that did not get enough praise. Actually, it got quite a bit of praise. I'm glad it did. Did they figure stuff out that can extend for longer? It's kind of a lazy way of putting it, but that's kind of my big question about the Pacers in game 2 is, do they have more pockets of the game that look like that, or is it just a flash in the pan that, God has smiled on the Pacers for this playoff run, and lo and behold, they did it again?
They might just be a team of destiny, Tony, but I do think, I do think that the Pacers in the fourth quarter, like the run that they went on from 3, it deserves a lot of credit, and not to just be shoved aside as like, well, that's just what the Thunder. Sorry?
Wide open shots.
Wide open shots. Like they got wide open shots. They also made some contested threes, which the Thunder, like, I'm not saying that they were perfect defending the corner 3, and they're never going to be perfect defending the corner 3 based upon how that they like to guard. But if you go back and watch how they defended the Pacers from the corners and how they defended literally anyone else, they did have more reverence and respect for Indiana's three-point shooting and tried to get out there, most notably like Isaiah Hartenstein, whenever he was on the floor, closing out hard to the corner, whereas he usually just hangs around the rim and waits for the rebound to carry him off or the shot to sink. So I think that they are trying to get out to those corners more, and Indiana is just making great passes, quick decisions, and they're still getting those creases and knocking down those shots. So it's a great big credit for him. And you talk about things that are changing. The regular season obviously does not matter now in game 2 of the NBA Finals, but the Pacers haven't seen the Thunder's double big lineups now through 3 games, like the 2 regular season games where Chet was out in both of them, and then they didn't do it in game 1. What is it? I mean, are we just wrong and the double big lineup could work against Indiana? Or are we right and it would be disastrous? And that's the part where both teams have to weigh the cost benefit of, if you're the Thunder and you toss it out there and it proves to be not a great lineup against this Indiana team, well, now you're playing catch up in a game 2 that's a must win for your season. And if it ends up working, then it throws Indiana into hey, we got to take these couple of days off back home to figure out what to do with these 2 bigs. So is Mark going to be willing to throw that pitch whenever it could be served up over the middle, or it could be an out pitch to get the series back 1-1? It is such an important game too. Like, the Thunder have to win this game.
I would say Mobley and Allen is like the closest thing to this, right? And it was okay, right? They were able to score inside pretty well when both were on the floor, Mobley in particular. Jaren Allen had a bad series. Like, he couldn't defend on the perimeter. They cooked him on switches all the time. I mean, there's a reason he's been discussed a lot as an offseason guy to watch, because he was bad in the playoffs, right? The Pacers cooked him up. Hartenstein is differently effective than him, and so maybe that's not as easy to do. But that, I do think the Pacers are like, 2 bigs, fine. Like, one of them will get switched onto a guard, and we're happy with that. So it is, you get something, you give up something else to live with there. The Pacers are not going to change their rotation. It would take a lot for that to be the case. It's so weird to talk about their game because, like, I walked over to Derek Kramer of Pacers blog during the third quarter, and I was like, this is all turnovers, right? Like, if they're not turning it over, this is a tight game now. He's like, yeah. And it's not ever that simple, but it's not even about the Thunder scoring off of them. It's that the Pacers didn't have a chance to shoot on that possession, right? So I wonder if they have 12 turnovers, say, in game 2, how much different that game just looks in general from a flow perspective. Rylan will have a lot more to say about game 1 going into game 2 tomorrow, because another big practice media day coming for both the Pacers and Thunder on Saturday. We'll both be there. Anything else on game 1, or should we prep people for our shows tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that with game 1, Indiana's got to be riding high, not just the 1-0 series, but like you mentioned, all the different ways where they feel like they can be better. And the Thunder, like, obviously there's a ton of pressure on them in game 2. They responded to pressure all season long. They've only lost back-to-back games twice all season long, and they haven't done it when they're fully healthy. They haven't lost back-to-back in the playoffs yet. That they've gotten huge statements in games after losses. They've got to do it again, though. This is the biggest stage, the biggest moment, and you can really define how great this series will be. And I would encourage, I know that everybody listening to this is either a diehard Pacers fan or a diehard Thunder fan, but I know it's really hard to take your emotions out of it. But man, what a series, because think of these simple ways that these teams can play better on both sides. And if they both do those simple things, like J-Dub and Chet showing up and the Pacers not turning the ball over, then it doesn't like tilt the pendulum in either direction. It just raises the level of basketball higher and makes for an even more compelling, more drama-filled, more excellent game on top of what game one already was. Like, this is going to be such a fun series just from a basketball perspective.
A total blast. Two teams that'll feel like they beat themselves. Well, they beat themselves in game two. We'll let you know tomorrow as we wrap up game one coverage into game two. Thank you for listening, everybody, to this Locked On Pacers, Locked On Thunder crossover. More tomorrow on these feeds. The finals. It's the finals. It's the best time of the year. Thank you for listening. We'll see you soon.